about what you saw at the Canadian qualifying rounds. George Russell manages to get on pole position. By the way, not that Max was extremely behind him because pretty much same time, but Russell laid it first. So if you're not first, you're last. Max comes in second place or not first again. So I was busy this weekend. I got invited out to an event as far as Wolfpack is concerned. There's some things out there. Got to edit content there. But in a few hours, we are going to be watching the Canadian GP. A lot of things may happen here. Weather is still in question. And a bigger question right now is if George Russell can turn pole into podium, which those are shirts you can buy at Wolfpack Performance Shopify. Just hit that link down below. But first, I want to get into a couple of things because I didn't get a chance to address this with so many things happening this week. The new 2026 car design is out. Now, first, I'm going to talk about Sam Collins. All right, Sam Collins asked, bro, hear me out. I caught your little sneak disses. And I got to say, Sam Collins was laying down a little bit of diss to Americans in his very subtle way. But the funny thing is, I don't even think it's not even something that he intentionally was trying to, he did it intentionally. But what's up, low-key tanks, first in the chat, what's happening with you? He did it intentionally, but you can tell this is a normal thing for Sam Collins and probably his colleagues and other people alike. Not my brothers and sisters from the UK that we vibe and get along with, but a certain level of people in Formula One in key positions look at Americans like they're lazy and they're dumb. And this is probably why when I got into the Formula One space, I heard so many people from the UK and or white people in America that have been watching Formula One for years or decades to either take my black ass to NASCAR or I had no business being an American in Formula One. So Sam Collins, I got a couple of things to just address with you first of all, okay? Let's talk about this.
The rear axle has been reduced by then when you go into down from Z mode or Z mode if you
tell us that we're lazy and we're not smart. So the first thing here is the math, okay? Everything metric systems over there. We do the standard. So Sam Collins decides to take it up on himself and throw a shot at Americans by saying this.
And the rear axle has been reduced by 200 millimeters, down from 3.6 meters to 3.4 meters. In American, that means they're a bit shorter. But that's not where...
So yeah, so you gave us the measurements in metric, and then Sam Collins decides to say, yeah, well, for Americans, that just means smaller. No, Sam. For Americans, that means that 3,600 is 141, about 141 inches. Now that it is 3,400 in the wheelbase, that's about 133 inches. So why didn't your lazy ass just convert the math? You're supposed to be the tech guy. You're the technical guy. Why didn't your lazy ass just convert the math, Mr. Tech Man? So you don't just go and say, oh, yeah, for Americans, that just means it's smaller. No, for Americans, that's 144-something inches and down to 133-something inches. As far as the width of the car, that's 78 point something inches down to another 4 inches. Listen, and it didn't even stop there. He couldn't even help himself. The bro couldn't even help himself. He had to go in and do something so small, insignificant, to just throw another jab at Americans, blatantly throw it at Americans again. Here he goes. Here's Sam Collins.
Activating this X mode. Then when you go into Z mode, or Z mode if you must talk like that in America, it is a high downforce.
So, Sam, what the fuck? So Sam Collins, listen. If you must talk like this in America, it was like smug. It was like, yeah, if you gotta use less education. Bro, you said X, then you said Z. It's Z. It is Z. Either way you shape, form it up, it's Z. Just because you put the D on it, because that's what y'all do, a French-derived, variation of Z, that's fine. What if you must talk like that in America? Yeah, we must because it's a fucking America. It's Z. Why didn't you say X-ray for X? Why don't you use Delta for D? Why don't you say Alpha for A? Your lazy ass didn't even go ahead and do something for X if you're trying to use military alpha. Not like, come on, Sam, bro. That's probably that shows me what their mind frame is when it comes to thinking about Americans or people they feel aren't up to their level in the sport. That's how they also look at people that just come into Formula One, which is a part of your damn problem. That's a part of your problem. Sam Collins really disappointed me with that shit, sending shots at Americans, just talking about smaller. Oh, if you must talk like that in America. Yeah, motherfucker, we talk like that because it's Z. You want us to use Z? That's fine. I can say zebra. I can say X-ray. I can say C for Charlie. You know what I'm saying? I can say Delta for D. I can say Tango for T. But who wants to do all that shit? The same way that they go about it. What's up? Mary Beanie says Operation Sabotage Against Lewis by Merck. Very sus. Yo, we did see about that. Him talking about the he said the traction fell away, but we'll get to that. So anyway, Sam Collins, all I can tell you is kiss America's ass. You gonna be back here. I will, it'd be awesome to see you in person and ask you why the fuck you felt like that was even necessary to do. But let me go ahead and give some of my opinions on what I think about the new car. It seems like Sam Collins and them, they just think they so damn smart that it's just we beneath them. And it's not even just Americans, it's people that they feel just come into the sport like they could just, it's really disgusting and it's irritating because a lot of people do it and then there are things that they don't know. I mean, Sam Collins, and we really talked about, there's a lot of things you don't do in your life or that you don't know. Let's just be for real. So we can go into that, bro. We just do a few buttons on the bottom of that shirt to show me what you don't know or what you might not do in your life. So we can go there, but let's go here right now.
Activating
so what I will
this
say
X
is
mode.
this.
Then
Sam
when you
Collins
go into
is
Z
shut the hell
mode
up,
or
but this
Z
is
mode,
him.
if you must talk
This
like
is
that
your
in America, it is a high.
Whatever. So this is what I will say. And I think the new generation of car is still going to have, every generation of car is going to have its problems. I don't see this being a direct fix out of the gate. However, I do see this car leveling the playing field by a lot. I do also see this car as another one of those stumbling blocks that will happen to Red Bull. And I believe it is going to be another component that one of many other components I've already talked about that will basically end their dominance. Okay? What's going on, Galactus? So what did I say so far? Red Bull's dominance will stop by 25, 26 is what I said. And with this coming into play, I'm pretty certain that it will stop by 26. I don't think Red Bull go dominant beyond 26. If they do, I don't think they do it consecutively. I think 25 will be the last season, if any, next year that they might go and be a consecutive champion or world constructor champion. I do not think Max Verstappen will reach 7 championships throughout his career. If he does, congratulations to him, but I don't think so. And if so, if Max Verstappen reaches a certain point in his career where it is troubling for almost comparable to what George and Lewis are going through, I don't think he stays in Formula One. I think he leaves Formula One, he goes to another racing series. Whether he comes back or not, I don't know. So I could be wrong about 7 championships. We'll see. But it likely will have 4. It'll be something very drastic if he doesn't have 4. So with this new variation of this car, one of the other components that change on, bro, you already know, bro, I've been up since 3 a.m. I still got to finish content from the show I went to yesterday and interviews I did, which is dope. It was really fun. We also talked about Ferrari. We talked about Red Bull, but y'all can check that out on the other channel. So I will say this. The beam wing is going to be a situation for Red Bull. I think that the beam wing is something that Red Bull have definitely had in their bag, something that added to their performance. If you do recall, Red Bull was the first or one of the first teams to take that beam wing element, which it was 2 components, but the way it was set up on the car, they acted as one plane, one foundation with just one platform. That's it, one surface area. Red Bull was the first, I'm pretty sure they were the first team to take that beam wing, which was 2 components, and split them to improve their downforce or manipulate their downforce or manipulate the conditioning of the airflow across the rear of that car. Well, the beam wings are gone now, okay? So I'm not saying Red Bull can't revamp themselves and find another way to maybe exploit some of this car, because all teams are, but that's now another hurdle. Something that they definitely were first on, cutting edge on. Other teams picked up on it, but Red Bull had it first. The other thing, as you see right here, that we're looking into is the front wing, okay? Front wing has been drastically changed a lot Now, Mercedes is playing with this left and right, and we are still going to be here after the race for a finale lap. So come back here. We're going to be here after the race. We're going to be here for the race, live race. We're going to do all that shit. So, Galactus, bro, you clown. So the front wing has been drastically changed. What I gather from this, FIA are trying their best to change this car to eliminate as many things as Mercedes has done on the front wing, because they've been one of the teams that have drastically revamped their front wing. Other teams have done things like the little element of bits on the side of the end plate, especially Haas, Williams. But Mercedes have been very avid. They have been very diligent at trying to find a way to condition this airflow at the first point of contact on this car. Now that is going to change for Mercedes, but Mercedes hasn't really necessarily done anything that tells us it's just mind-blowing. They've went back to a more traditional front wing as of now, or at least they've increased the width of that cord that they cut down to what looked like me from TV, maybe half an inch, now going to the full size of the cord all the way into the nose. Another portion of the car that's going to change that drastically will impact Red Bull, whether they get over that hump or not, is the floor. That floor is changing. Adrian Newey is leaving. Honda is leaving. The employees are going to leave. This is how poaching happens. All of these things are starting to fall in place. Look at this season. The past 4 races, Red Bull has not been as dominant. They've lost the race. They've lost 2 races. They almost lost another race in Imola to Lando. And now George Russell in a Mercedes with updates since Monaco is now on pole position with an equaling time to Max Verstappen. I'm telling you, I told you last season, I told you at the beginning of this season, Red Bull might not make it past 4 championships, and if they do, he won't get Max 7. 2025 is probably going to be the last season that Red Bull is dominant. 2026, a lot of shit changing for them. Ford is coming in as their power unit supplier, and Ford is not the greatest when it comes to racing, especially in these realms right here to me. I just talked to somebody who had a high performance Ford yesterday, and they still agreed with the acronyms found on road dead or fix or report pair daily. Matter of fact, the motherfucker was running hot while we were sitting right there doing the interview. So I'm just saying, a lot of things are coming into play that are going to trouble Red Bull. It's happening as we speak. But this new car, to me, is going to level a lot in the playing field, and I'm hoping that it brings us more interesting, entertaining racing. Another thing is the width, the size of the car is smaller. We're talking about a smaller variation now, a smaller vehicle now. What this does for Monaco, I don't think much. I don't think it's small enough where it's going to do much, but it is smaller. So will that do anything different in Monaco? No, because Monaco hasn't really been different for some time. The car is not a go-kart. It's not a race car. It's not that small to make Monaco all of a sudden seem that big. Monaco, to me, still needs to go. I'm going to say that. Now, also, we got the new, we all talked about this here at the Wolfpack fam. We talked about the DRS being modified. Several of us agreed that the push to pass that IndyCar uses would be very interesting if it were in Formula One. Well, it's coming. Push to pass is coming. How they're going to allocate that, unclear right now. If it's going to be a certain amount of time, I don't know how they're going to allocate. I don't know. They got to have a limit on it to make it competitive where you're just not using it just bluntly all damn race. You got to have some type of strategy that will need to be applied on how you're going to decide to implement that push to pass. DRS is gone, but it's not really gone. DRS is not really gone. There's still a drag reduction system there, regardless if it's going to be a completely open gap or it's just going to be 2 surfaces in the front wing and the rear wing changing to either increase downforce or decrease downforce. And I will tell you this, that technology was already applied to a production supercar from a team who was going to be in Formula One. And that team would be who? Who do you think that team would be? Porsche. And I did a video on this. Remember, I did a video on this. And I said there's going to be a certain amount of these technologies going into this. If you don't recall, the Porsche GT3 RS in the front fascia, just in those ducts to the left or to the right near you, there is an active arrow inside of those ducts that runs in compliance or with congruent the rear wing. And when those ducts kick open, they do adjust the airflow to either reduce or increase drag. Now we're going to have that in Formula One with the new era of the car doing a similar thing. So, with that being said, how many of these production car companies have we seen implement this in a successful area or either dabbling in this in a very heavy amount? We've already seen Ferrari with some of their super hybrid cars doing well. Porsche is another one, but Porsche went ahead and dipped out because Red Bull didn't want to give them enough of that cheese. And they said, hell, you're going to give us a lot of cheese and we're not giving you a little bit of nothing about the IP. Another team is Mercedes with the One. With the Project One car, Mercedes has already been dabbling in that as far as the aero, active aero. So this is going to be very interesting that they're bringing active aero into this magnitude for 2026. There are a lot of components changing, and I do not think Red Bull will get across the damn learning curve as fast as they did, or even as much as the other teams if Newey's not there. Newey was their secret weapon. He was their magic bullet for the new ground effects era. And the ground effects era is starting a little bit, just a little bit, taper off with this new design. Now, of course, we all know, just like Honda announced the Integra, and we saw this rendering that looked like it would be something that would resemble the RSX, which is the DC5 Integra. And then when that car came out, it looked like holy crap doo-doo shit, okay? It looked like evil crap doo-doo shit. I mean, not say holy, because it's holy, it's supposed to be really good up there. I heard having, honey milk biscuits and streets of gold. So let's say hell doo-doo shit. It looked nothing like the rendering. This car may very well come out and be very different, maybe subtle, maybe drastic. Some of these components, how many of them are actually going to be locked in with no type of change, no type of variation? We'll see. How many of these areas will the team actually be able to exploit in order to make the car their own and find an edge on other competitors to put them toward the front of the grid? These are all the things that we will want to see, that we will see in 2026. And it's going to be interesting. By the way, this is a dope-ass car. Saw one the other week when we were up racing in the northern area. I mean, the GT3 RS is just absolutely beautiful. It is an absolute beautiful machine. It sounds absolutely mean and mad. And I mean, its track ability is fun as hell from what I have seen. I've not driven one, okay? Not driven one. So let's go into this. Russell is on pole. Hamilton seemed to be struggling a bit. I'm going to say this. Some people felt some kind of way about Hamilton saying that, go ahead and give George the updates. I really didn't buy that much into it. I mean, why not? George is going to be your guy that's going to be here. I'm not going to be here. I'm about to get the hell on. I'm dipping. I'm going to be dipping out of here. So what do I care about who you give the updates first? I don't even think right now Lewis he wants to win. I'm not going to say that Lewis doesn't want to win. He wants to win. This is the case. But I think Lewis, given just like Adrian Newey, there are probably things that they're not going to involve Lewis with. Lewis knows that the changes in this car are not going to affect him much next season. And this is his last season as far as what he's going to be doing with Mercedes. So let George get the updates. George on pole, of course, on pole position. Max Verstappen second and Lando third. Once again, McLaren showing up in the top three. And I think if this didn't solidify to you, if this didn't make it concrete to you that now you need to seriously look at McLaren like they are actually here. They have arrived races ago and they are probably here to stay. Maybe we'll see. They're there again. Okay, Piastri is just right behind Lando. Both McLaren drivers and cars are in the top 5 for qualifying, once again doing what they have been doing for the last few races. Danny Rick outperformed Yuki here, and then we got Fernando Alonso. It was very funny to me to hear them say that Lance Stroll's a beast. Lance Stroll is no beast. It's crazy the amount of fake accolades they give these drivers. Lance Stroll is no beast. When in the hell is the last time Lance Stroll has even been on podium? When is the last time Lance Stroll has been on podium? Do you want to tell me that? Please. Do you even know how many podiums he has in his career? Lance Stroll only has a handful of podiums in all of the time he's been driving in Formula One. And the brother's been here for over 7 or 8 seasons. I don't even think he has 5 podiums. Where is he a beast? Mind you, he had the same car that Alonso had last season while Alonso racked up 8 podiums. Lance Stroll didn't get not one. These fake accolades need to stop. Lance Stroll is nobody's beast anywhere on a track. Maybe at Andretti's karting when they allow the 6 and 7-year-olds to get out there, and I'm going to question that. So anyway, Alonso Hamilton, 7th. 7th is a lucky number, so-called said, but it's not where he wants to be. Now, I think we all can agree with the right conditions and maybe the right spacing, if nobody's pinched in or doing anything crazy, Lewis Hamilton's good for 1 to 2 position jumps off the start. Off the start, he's good for that. So we could very well see him by the first 2 corners in 5th position. Now, what happens later on in that race? There's a hard fence there. There's a hard fence there with McLaren, both cars from McLaren there, and Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, Russell will be at the front being chased. Now, do any of us firmly believe that George Russell is going to be able to hold on to pole position and convert it into a race win? I do not think so. It could happen. It's looking promising. But I'm more inclined, not guaranteeing, I'm more inclined to think that Lando might get another race win, Piastri might get his first race win, or Max Verstappen wins the race again, but not in consecutive order and is not as dominant as he had been for some time now. It hasn't been that. And if this is the case, that Max doesn't win this race, this is 5 races that you have seen in line where Red Bull and Max didn't dominate. They didn't dominate in quali, and they didn't dominate in a race. Even if he wins it, there's a difference between what we've been seeing. Don't forget, people, we're coming from where we saw 19 seconds of gap by the end of a GP. Galactus says Lance is going to hit the wall again, then red flag. Listen, I can't even say Galactus wrong. You want to know why? Because he called it last time we was in kickback quali and shit really happened. Galactus might be the new Oracle. He might be the new Oracle. So look out for Lance Stroll hitting the wall and a red flag that might soon come. As we go on down, Alex Albon again, top 10, very nice. Logan Sargent, 13th. Who did not hear that James Vowles pretty much is campaigning for Carlos Sainz to be in a Williams? Logan Sargent's done. He's done. He would have to win a race in order for them to even think about keeping him. And even after winning that race, he would have to probably do so well in FP sessions and qualifyings and whatever other sprints are coming up to make them feel like, well, wait a minute, this guy actually might be coming online. He actually might be good or getting good. That's not going to happen. Lance Stroll is going to be in a seat because his daddy pays for it. But Logan Sargent, the other LS in Formula One, which is not like the Chevy LS, pretty good ass engine, pretty good motor, LSX, go check them out. Logan Sargent is going to be canned. He's out of here. I don't even think if Carlos doesn't show up to Williams, they will have Logan Sargent in a seat next season. I think James Vowles has had his fill with Logan Sargent. He's giving him a second opportunity. He's probably going to give him the rest of this season, and then he's going to send him back home to Florida, go Trump it up, go vote for Trump, go chill with Trump. Your daddy do all this. Go do whatever you do down there in Florida, but it will not be at the race. Matter of fact, show up to the Miami GP. I mean, McLaren let Trump in. We'll definitely let you in. Logan Sargent ain't done nothing as drastic as Trump has, or even Yuri Vipp from Red Bull was saying the N-word. I mean, being for real, and Yuri Vipp's still out here. So Logan Sargent could probably come back and visit, but he's not going to be driving anymore. Charles Leclerc and them, I was very, very kind of like, damn, with Ferrari in 11th, that was crazy to me. And Carlos Sainz is 12th, which made me think that is really solidified. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the race. I hope they don't panic and go just lose their shit. But K-Mag And Nico just kind of spread out. Sergio Perez at 16th. Damn, bro. Damn, bro. 16th? That's looking bad. 16th, that's not a good look. I gotta say, that's just not a good look. And Perez just got his contract extension, and that's why I tell y'all, Perez's signing was more about keeping Max safe and cuddling Max and making sure Max doesn't have a driver that's in the team that will challenge him. That's what it's about. Max is a frail, fragile mind, and he will not do well with equaling competition. You put another driver in that car like Alonso, somebody that can act, or Lewis Hamilton, or Carlos Sainz, you will see Max cry like nobody's business. Max will cry so much, there won't be an NDA big enough to keep anybody from talking about how much he's crying. Okay? That signing, to me, was blatantly obvious that it was about keeping Max safe. I'm not saying Sergio Perez can't go somewhere else and be competitive, because we've seen him be competitive. But what I'm saying is, if we see this driver in this car doing all of that, and a driver who at one point in time was pretty much rivaling that and has fallen off since, I'm not going to sit here and blame it on Red Bull anymore. I'm blaming it on Perez. Perez chose to stay there, but now Red Bull have equally chosen to keep Perez. So it is a mutual agreement. Perez, you got to be good with being second or worse, but you will never be first here. And that is the only way you're going to get your extension. Perez has submitted to that. If he didn't do it verbally, he's done it by action. I've said it several times. I'm not going to even say it again. I'm not going to say it again. I've told you all the things that they've done, said to Perez, and he's taking it, and he stands up there like, hey, I'll be that guy. He wants to be a yes man. Oh, well, anybody but George. What's up, Maria Duncan? I see you in the chat. So listen, we got a race in a few hours. Big questions wanted to be answered. Can George Russell turn pole into podium or a race win? Will Lando, who is just behind Max Verstappen, get his second race win in the first season where he got his first race win, which would be crazy? George getting another race win, which I think that'll make 2 for him. And then Oscar Piastri, could he get his first race win, which would be absolutely crazily awesome to me, because that's the other driver that I favor as far as drivers on the grid. Alex Albon, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, and Oscar Piastri, for sure. So, and I want to know, can Lewis Hamilton do something to bring himself up the grid at the start of the race? And who knows, by strategy or maybe racecraft, will he be able to get by 2 fast McLarens? Has Mercedes made updates that have turned into upgrades for both cars, both drivers? Or is Lewis Hamilton kind of in this superdelic funk where he's like, I'm just ready to get to Ferrari, but I'm going to do my job here, keep my head down. Anything you ask me, I got it. I'll answer it. But they're probably not including Lewis in as many meetings or as much detail, just like Adrian Newey's not being included in as many meetings or as much detail as what I would think. You're leaving. We don't want you to take so much of this information to a different team, especially if it works. So we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. There are some teams to me that are going to disappear by the end of the year. I think Alpine and Sauber are one of them. I think these 2 teams are going to be irrelevant as we start progressing through this year. I don't even think we're going to talk about them much unless Gasly and Ocon have another incident where they collide with each other, or maybe make some type of top 5 finish in a race. Other than that, I think these teams are about to fade to the black. They're about to fade on out. So we'll see what happens then. We will be here for the race highlights. Don't miss it. Be live again twice today. I had to come and chill with the fam twice. Had a lot of work going on yesterday, filming, interviewing. Still got to get the content finished up and get it up. But we will be here again after the race. Y'all enjoy it. We're going to see what happened, what be popping. I will see you all soon. You know what I say. We'll pack out. And Galactus said Yuki is locked in for 25. Where is Danny going? Danny Rick is going to go on that Spezza trip he never took. Peace.